Today we're reviewing the Lenovo Yoga Slim 7i Aura Edition. This thing costs $12.99 and it's a beautiful laptop. There's a lot of things I like about it, but there are a few things that just kind of irk me, which should be changed for that $12.99 price point. We're gonna go through it all, but I do wanna start off with this design because it is nice, it's fairly simple, it is using an entire aluminum chassis. I love the fact that they rounded off the edges, making it very comfortable to hold and pick up. For a 15-inch notebook, it only weighs 3.37 pounds, so it is fairly light. I do like the amount of ports you get with this, because if you look on the left-hand side, you have an HDMI port, a USB Type-C, this is Thunderbolt 4, a combo audio jack, and then on the right-hand side, you have USB-A, this is only 5 gigabits per second, another Thunderbolt 4 port, your power button, and your camera switch. Now this power button is one of my first annoyances. I don't mind having a power button on your laptop, like you need one to turn it on, but not on the right or left-hand side, you know? Because if I'm using my laptop, and let's say it's over here, sometimes I'll pick it up, move it away, or bring her closer to me, and then all of a sudden, I turned off my laptop like I just did right now. And it's really annoying because you just do it subconsciously and you don't think about it. Now, it's not a deal breaker, but it's something that could easily be fixed by placing the power button on the keyboard deck. The other thing I don't like is opening up this laptop. Most laptops that are well made are easily openable with one hand. Like, look at this. I'm holding it with one hand and the bottom is not opening up. Like I have to put my finger here in order to open it. Now, usually the bottom gets stuck with the top on a 360-degree convertible, but this Yoga is out of shape. You know, it stopped going to the gym because this does not flip 360 degrees. Isn't that the whole point of the Yoga name, being able to flip into a convertible position? This guy's been eating too many donuts. We need to get this guy back in the gym and flip 360 degrees. The good news though is that you do have an amazing keyboard. Like I love this keyboard. It's super clicky, it has nice travel distance, it's fantastic to type on. And because it has 4 speakers inside of it, it has really good sound as well. My third complaint is the touchpad. Like, don't get me wrong, this is a nice big glass touchpad. It has Windows precision drivers, the whole thing, but it's not haptic. It's time to stop putting glass touchpads at this price point. The good news though, that the sticker guy from Intel with the new Core Ultra processors is doing a much better job. Like, I don't know if you've seen the sticker work on AMD laptops, it does not come even close. My fourth complaint is this display. Like, don't get me wrong, this is a beautiful IPS panel. It has a high refresh rate of 120 Hertz. It's 16:10, so you have that extra vertical space. It's pixel dense with a 2.8K resolution. It supports HDR at 400 nits. But the problem is, it's just not OLED. With the competition at this price point offering OLED displays with high refresh rates, I feel like this one should have one too. Right now, you're looking at the 1080p webcam on the Lenovo Yoga Slim 7i. I'm, again, sitting in front of a very bright window. Let's see how it handles, I don't know, the exposure. Ooh, really blown out when I'm in the sunlight. Let's go back in the shade for a second. Okay, a little better. Anyways, you guys let me know how it looks, and most importantly, how do the microphones sound? Now, the reason why this is called the Aura Edition is to represent a partnership between Intel and Lenovo. And one of the new features is called Smart Share. Basically, it's just a custom version of Intel Unison offering this new feature. And basically what it does is when you tap your smartphone, iPhone, or Android, the Intel Smart Share app will load up and show your pictures on your phone. But that's where it kind of ends. Like, it's not really offering me any new features. Like, if you have Intel Unison installed on your other computers, it's gonna feel exactly the same. The whole idea of tapping the side of your display is a cool thing to look at, but it's more of a party trick. But in terms of performance, we are using an Intel Core Ultra 256V. So what's the difference between a 256V and the 258V I just reviewed in the Asus ZenBook S14? Well, not much. Like, performance, cores, all that kind of stuff is identical. The 6 going to 8 just means the 8 version has more RAM. If it's 258V, it has 32 gigabytes of RAM. If it's a 256V, it has 16. That's exactly where it ends. It still comes with the Intel Arc 140V graphics integrated GPU. This one has 16 gigabytes of RAM, the 15-inch display, and a 1 terabyte NVMe SSD. And here's the thing, like, Single core performance is exactly where it should be. It's definitely not at the top of the list. That goes down to the MacBook Air. In terms of multi-core performance, these new Lunar Lake processors are definitely lower than most of the competition that's currently on the market. But again, when you look at actual applications you're using, the performance kind of changes. Now, the reason why this is behind the ZenBook S14 is again because it only has 16 gigabytes of RAM. Something like Photoshop really utilizes that extra memory in order to give you better performance. And the same holds true if you're using Premiere Pro. In fact, this was so close to a Snapdragon X Elite that I was actually quite shocked. AMD definitely has a lead in terms of overall CPU performance. But here's the thing, like if you're buying this and you want to utilize the integrated GPU, you're going to get good performance out of this. The new Intel Arc Xe2 is actually quite incredible, like just a little bit faster than what AMD is offering, but not by much. If you're going to play older titles on this, like Overwatch, for example, it's going to handle it beautifully. Like I had this at 1920 by 1200 medium settings and it was running very, very well. Even Cyberpunk 2077 is playable if you don't mind dropping the settings as well. Core clock speeds are identical to the Asus ZenBook S14 that I tested out not too long ago. Power draw is around 30 watts when it's being pushed to its full potential. CPU temperatures are also very good. It never gets too hot and it never passes 80 degrees Celsius. Fan noise is doing very well on this laptop. Like the highest I've heard the fans get is closer to 50, but never above 50. And this is again, like you're using all the cores for a long time. If you're just doing general everyday stuff, the fans barely kick on. Internally, not much to talk about, but you do have a 2-fan cooling solution. There's no vapor chamber cooler. Wi-Fi 7 card is completely soldered on. RAM is soldered on, but the NVMe SSD is swappable. Not the fastest read and write speeds for this NVMe SSD, probably because it's not using a 2280. In fact, I don't even think you could put a 2280 inside of here. Now, the one thing that this laptop absolutely nailed was the battery life. I feel like these Intel laptops are basically doing what the Snapdragon laptops are doing, but being able to run anything, like because it's x86. Whereas AMD is just like, we're gonna give you the most power as possible. We're still gonna have really good battery life, just not as good battery life as Qualcomm and Intel. Either way, I do like this laptop, like I really do. But I just feel like they cut a few corners. It should have an OLED display. It should have a haptic touchpad. The design should be a little better. Let's stop putting the power button on the side of the laptop and put it on the deck itself. But again, there's a lot of competition at this price point. And if Lenovo's not going to give it to you, you can always look at other laptops that will. If any questions, let me know in the comment section down below. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one.